Hi, everyone. This is Eric Cole from Looker, and we're excited to have you here today to talk about embedding analytics and the various choices you have. I'm joined today by Skander. He's a data analyst on our team, and he'll be walking you through some of the concrete realities of embedding analytics and with a live demo. So before we get any further, I just want to take a step back and zoom out a little bit. We have people from all over the world on the call today, and we're really grateful for the time that you're taking to dial in and talk to us. So whether you're a data analyst, a data scientist, a data engineer, a marketer, business leader, or a product owner, or a software developer, or a technology leader who are trying to build great products, what we're talking about today is really straightforward. It's about transforming the information you have into growth. And whether that growth is for your customers, partners, employees, investors, your organization, or beyond your organization. So there's a lot of relevance here for any size organization and wherever you are in the globe. So today we're going to be talking about three things. One, the benefits of embedding analytics. Two, the criteria for evaluating the tools that you have available to you. And three, why the Looker platform is different. Before we go any further, let's talk about Boeing for a second. So they are a massive organization. They've been around for a long time, and they don't make engines. They focus on what their core product is, their planes. Their engines are made by best-in-breed engine makers like Rolls-Royce and General Electric. But they're, just like Looker, just like you guys who are building products, they focus on their core product. And Looker is providing the engine for that. So as you can see, organizations invest strategically to compete. It's really important for them to focus on their core competency and their core product and to buy and outsource everything else. That allows them to maintain a high return on their engineering effort while achieving a best-of-breed offering, tech stack, and ecosystem. And what we're seeing is the same thing that Gartner has seen, which is that when they surveyed 3,000 technology leaders in 2018, they found that data and technology leaders are taking more strategic roles and responsibilities, and that growth is their top priority. That's where they're focusing that engineering effort. And when pursued well, this results in new sources of revenue, products and service transformation, so decreasing costs, and customer focus for increased product competitiveness. So when done well, you see companies like Namely, who are able to drive new sources of revenue very quickly. Namely is a growth stage HR software company, and to compete up market against incumbents like Workday and ADP, they realized that they needed to better leverage their data. And so with Looker, Namely was able to provide as a product to their customers analytics, and this fueled growth and created new streams of value for them very quickly. And we have a lot of examples of this, and I'll show you a few concrete ones right now. So Global Payments, this is a large enterprise. They are serving everyone from mom and pop shops to the Verizons and other Fortune 500 companies of the world. So what they're using Looker for and is to visualize their data, and they're rolling out to over close to 1 million merchants this year, this sort of embedded analytics offering, so that they can provide the ability of custom reporting and all towards growing their business to becoming a Fortune 500 organization themselves. Another example is Counta. This point-of-sale system is a smaller company, but they've built their core product around Looker and the embedded analytics offering that we can provide them. And so the cool thing here is that they've been able to take, with only a very lean, agile development team of 2 to 3 developers, they've been able to build and maintain this product. And they're doing this to solve a few different use cases. So, for example, what are the busiest hours of my day and the busiest days of the week so I can make proper staffing decisions, as you see here. or what is the best-selling menu items and what are the worst-selling ones over time and how are these trending? What time are people actually ordering pizzas on average during the day, so I know exactly how many pizzas I should put in the oven? And finally, I'm maybe managing a business remotely. How do I know what's going on over email or on my mobile device? So these are examples of ways that Counta is able to enable small and medium businesses throughout Australia and beyond to better understand what is going on in their organization and at the point of sale. And one final example is Collective. So Collective is an enterprise content delivery network, and their platform distributes streaming video to enterprises without using up their enterprise bandwidth. And this ability for them to provide analytics to the enterprise allows the enterprise to understand exactly how the video is being consumed. And the cool thing here is that they were able to build this, again, with a very lean, agile development team and rapidly iterate on a prototype to expand into new markets. And they went from worst in their market to first in just 1 year in terms of analytics offerings. So pretty remarkable achievement there. So I've given you a few examples. We've talked a little bit about why embedding analytics is valuable and important. So now the question is, as you're considering to do this yourself, what are the right tools for the job and what sort of criteria should you be looking for? And there's the obvious stuff that you see, and this is critical. This is the user interface and experience. But there's also a whole bunch of stuff that lies under the surface and that powers that user interface and experience, including architecture, the scalability of performance, authentication. Authentication is a big one that our customers come to because of how hard it is to do themselves. Permissioning, data preparation, maintenance, time to value, APIs and integrations, governance, security, whether it's web native or not. Does it introduce new points of failure into your organization? How much can you customize it? Are the costs predictable over time? So now you've taken a look at these considerations, and then you have to consider what your goal is in your market. Are you trying to provide an offering to win in your market? Are you just trying to compete on a few features with your top competitors? Or is it more of a checkbox that you have to provide something just to be even considered or just to be in the game? So what we've found some customers do is they chart out how strong their offering is compared to others and the relative market penetration, with the goal, obviously, to improve that over time. So once you figured out what your strategy is, whether you're going to win, compete, or play in the game, how are you going to structure your offering? What framework do most other companies use? And you can go to Counta's website and check it out for yourself. But their insights is tiered from a good, better, and best framework. So good being the cheapest with the most limited functionality, better being probably the most popular, a little bit more expensive, and best being obviously the premium, most expensive offering. And what you can do with this sort of framework is you can take your different levels of functionality and chunk them out into these different tiers that optimize for the level of service that your customers want and need and what they're willing to pay for it. So very quickly you can look at historical data, granularity, how static or interactive is the analysis that you're providing them. Can they integrate it with other applications or workflows? How much can the end users customize your product? What end user types are you going to be serving, view only or exploration or actionable users? And then finally, as an admin user, what can you do as well? So these are just a couple examples, but every company is different, every product's different. And so finding the right mix of which bundles of functionality fall into which tier is really a bit of an art, a bit of a science. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about what makes Looker different. So we've talked about some of the considerations. We've seen a few examples, but if you go to any of the websites of any of the organizations that are planning to do embedded analytics, you'll hear a lot of similar things. So we like to think about this in terms of the product builders and what their goals are. So as a product builder, you want to build efficiently using the tools you love. You want to grow and scale your product rapidly and cheaply, and you want to deliver high-quality experiences to your customers. So very quickly, what Looker is a platform that provides all the functionality that you can't do with the other tools. You can do some of them, but it's the only platform that allows you to do all of these together. So we'll get into this in a second, but the key factors here are UI and UX. How can you deliver data? How can you make sure that your product is performing and serving up high-quality data at the right time? And how do you make sure that you are working as you should be in a modern development environment? So typically, the choices in the market has given you two options. There have been two choices. You've had to traditionally choose between analyst tools. So these are tools that have been designed for the old world of slow databases, where to get better performance, analysts have had to cube or extract the data and move it into memory. And so that all required database expertise, and the tools that developed were for those data analysts. And so from those beginnings is where their embedded analytics offerings evolved from. So they're very much focused around the data analyst and this assumption that you have to queue and extract data. Then on the other hand, you have the DIY tools. You have the open source libraries and frameworks, D3, for example, or the ability to hard code analytics directly in your product and build your own authentication, your own user roles, your own governance yourselves, which is, as we've discussed, it can be very difficult for some of these organizations. And so coming back to what Looker does, it provides the best of both worlds to your product. It's the engine that drives the analytics behind your offering that gives you both the best of analyst tools as well as developer tools. So coming back to your goals, you want to build efficiently, grow rapidly, and deliver high-quality experiences. So I'll go through each of those one at a time. So yes, this building efficiently is all about collaborating easily at scale using modern developer workflows. So Looker is the first modern analytics platform that lets developers use the modern Git workflows that they've come to expect, because it's code-based. And so you can manage your whole workflow in Git. You can have a lot of people working on the same project at once, and all the benefits that come with Git. You can also use the release processes you're familiar with, dev staging, production. You can do unit testing, ensure quality. And then anytime you want to make changes, if the team changes or if you want to roll back something that doesn't work, you have true Git version history to do that with. In addition, because anyone can really build a chart in a simple UI, you don't need engineers wasting the time building ad hoc reports. And so coming back to this, focusing on your core competency theme, all of this is freeing up developer resources and other resources for the projects that are higher value and more important. The next goal is around scaling rapidly. So Looker scales up very predictably in terms of performance and pricing. And so as you grow your customer base, you know that you can maintain your model all in one place and have those changes update everywhere automatically. So that's the metric definitions and user permissions that you're going to be using in your product. So, and as you grow and as you add new use cases, new personas and user types, new customer types to your product, you get all the security and provisioning baked in as you do that. And our customers love this because it lets them really rapidly prototype and expand into new markets, drive better product market fit, and so on. And as you add customers, you don't have to add new expensive hardware, which can be slow, cumbersome, and unpredictable. But instead, you get to focus on the customer and know that you're providing performance as you scale. And so the lean analytics team and the engineering teams needed to maintain this product is the real winner. So again, to that theme of focusing on your core competency, your developers can focus on that and not on maintaining your analytics products. And finally, Looker offers a best-in-class combination of live and governed data. So that allows you to provide premium experiences to your product. So you can provide your customers the ability to ask further questions of the data so they can filter, drill, pivot, schedule, download, alert. All the stuff that we talked about in that previous slide with the good, better, best. You can provide different gradations of experience and charge for that. And meanwhile, you'll be saving account management and support team hours by providing that real-time self-serve analytics. And that way they won't have to worry about any ad hoc data requests from your customers. And that's the main difference between Looker and all the other solutions out there is, what we've talked about. Everyone talks about some of the things that you've seen on their websites, and what makes Looker different is these three things. That's the agility, it's the scalability, that's the best-in-class performance. So as you're thinking about building into the future, three things to remember are, Looker's differences in the developer agility and the lean team that it takes to build product, the performance of the product and the front end, and then the scale and performance as you scale as well. So it's no accident that 1 in 3 Looker customers are embedding analytics. And with that, I will hand it over to Skander, who will talk you through some of the different ways you can embed Looker.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you so much. So really, when we talk about embedding, and Eric, I'm going to refer to the engine analogy, is really about fueling, your portal, your new application with a solution that you're going to be able to put in front of your customers with, I would say, 3 different flavors, but really there are much more that you can do. So I'm going to start from the left on the, I don't know if you can see it. So the OEM is really about exposing Looker natively to your customers, where they're going to be able to log into a portal which is ready for them to consume analytics, export the data, and really perform their own self-service exploration on the data that you want to expose to them. In the middle of the screen, where you can see the embed solution, which is really about taking iframes and integrating those dashboards with obviously single sign-on, all the authentication and enterprise grade security that you can expect from a solution as Looker, where you're going to be able to really immerse your clients with your own UI, your own workflows. And the third one on the right is the API. Obviously, you can blend embedded and the API, which I'll show you in a moment. Really, that capabilities is really outstanding, as you're going to be able to create new workflows, but also talk with other APIs. And I've surfaced some of the questions in the chat, so I'm not going to go into details, but really the potential and the use cases are absolutely outstanding. Now, let me walk you through a quick demonstration, and I'm going to ask you guys to look at the media player. So just going to share my screen. All right. So really on this particular screen, this is a demonstration we've put together. I think it took us about a couple of days. Really the idea is how can you go to market very quickly? We built this, HTML, CSS, JavaScript front end, very minimal yet efficient in order to embed Looker. So everything you can see here, all the charts are coming from Looker. Some are actually of the chart, as you can see here on the right, the average distance, the total flights. You obviously reckon that there was a use case with Southwest airline, analyzing their data. It's pre-old data, but we all love Southwest. And really the idea is to show you how you can turn data into information, but leveraging the power of Looker to fuel analytics to create your new product with, for example, maps, with in this particular example, connecting lines that are part of Looker offer. Also being able to create your own workflow by playing with the Looker's API in order to create, to see, the different delays over months. And another way of integrating Looker is the full dashboard. So you can see here, this is a full native dashboard of Looker, maps, combination charts, different series where you're going to really leverage the front end of Looker, but also the capabilities in terms of scheduling the dashboard. And that really refers to what Eric said around the iceberg, all those functionalities about shipping data where it needs to be, just being able to download the data as a CSV, scheduling, all of that. You want to put that inside your product so the whole platform can be leveraged to create new workflows. I'm not necessarily going into too much detail, but really you're going to be able to do cool things where your customers can, schedule alerts, they see something. You don't want them to have complicated workflow. You really want them to just be able to, hey, I want to click on that chart. I want to receive I want to be alerted on this data point. I just want to put my email, my email in here, and I want to receive that on a weekly basis. Done. The last thing, and that's something which is also very unique, and I think some of the questions we're asking to compare with other solutions. Few solutions propose a self-service environment where your end users, again, if you want to, can really build the charts on their own. So, for example, you want to see the count of delayed flight by carrier name. And you just can run the query. So you don't have to expose those capabilities, but you can potentially provide to your end users the ability to self-serve and analyze the data because they're going to have more questions than the simple dashboards that you've set for them. So this is something which is in high demand. Like a lot of our customers love having a self-service environment where you, as product owner, are going to be able to curate this data dictionary here that you see on the left, so you can see that your customers can only ask questions that are, in a very clean data environment and not a raw data warehouse environment or things like that. Now, the second use case I wanted to show you is 100% API based. So really leveraging, I would say, the best in class of what you can think of in terms of creating a modern web application. But on top of being a modern web application, it's a data native platform where it's not necessarily, you don't feel like you are in a BI tool. You want to productize BI into your own product in your own terms, and that's what we aim to do with this solution. So this is something where every data point that you see here is filled by Looker. We actually skinned Looker with our own front end, and that was actually fascinating to work on this project because we were really able to take Looker to a product that we didn't even think that we would create, but that was really amazing to see the platform being responding with the data and having such a fast access. We played also with different APIs and really just to, for example, let's say here we have, let's say if I was one of customers into a B2B scenario and let's say a scanner from Yamaha or any company, and if I log in, I can reverse, for example, the logo of the end users and start, playing with the data, cross-filtering on my dashboard and analyzing my data. You can also obviously customize the theme and really create your own experience. I'm going to switch to the white background. I don't know. I'm sure there are different time zones, and some of people on the audience, I'm sure it's already late at night, but I'll keep the light background. But really, just to show that you don't have to create a solution that where your clients are going to feel like they're in a BI tool. They can just focus on harvesting insights with a sleek navigation and really taking pleasure to analyze data because this data that you're going to turn into information is valuable for them. And also, you want to have the best and the most beautiful product for them to stay on your product. The last thing I wanted to show you is something obviously I'm very excited about. We always talk about third-party integration. And so I'm just going to show you what we think is taking actions from your data. It's really about, analyzing the data, but again, not necessarily feeling like you're in a BI tool. For example, here we have Sean White. Obviously, this is anonymous data, so don't worry. We're not actually going to text Sean White. And for example, we see this person with, actually the use case was about, borrowing money. And let's say you want to have create a workflow where you can actually text this person. So we're just going to text Sean White through Looker and leveraging our data action capabilities, which is wired to third-party application. So we can directly interact with this person. And let's say we're going to, let's be very generous here. Let's offer $200,000 at 1%. I mean, I hope Sean White won't refuse. So once you've orchestrated this workflow, Looker is using the data action, orchestrating a workflow with Twilio, and receiving here the text message where we ship the data from your database, took care of all the query, in order to assemble the data and create a sentence where, obviously, I received this offer. I would say, who is that? And on that particular workflow, we've really leveraged the power of Twilio to create a little chatbot. And obviously now we have this answer where Looker now is reading the data, and now we can see that Sean White has accepted the offer. I think data analytics is really, and the way Looker sees it is really not about just analyzing data, but it's really about creating new engaging platform and ways of taking action on this data, but also being full circle on reading the data back from those workflows to have a full story. That's all I have, but thank you so much, and I hope we'll read plenty of your questions. Back to you, Eric.
Great. So, yeah, thank you so much, Skander. So let's start looking through some of these questions. So, does Looker accept any data source? Can you answer that, Skander?
Yeah, of course. So Looker supports a little over 40 dialects of SQL compliant databases. So we are really expert at talking SQL. Top of my head, the infamous, the Redshift, the Google BigQuery, the Snowflake, but really any SQL databases.
Great. What types of tools or features does Looker offer to ensure the quality of the data in the platform?
Yeah, so the data quality is managed by a semantic layer that we call LookML, which is really our secret sauce. It's a SQL framework which is governed. What we mean by governed is that really anything that you're going to see from Looker, whether it's from the API, from the internal application, is going to be reviewed through this layer, which is entirely version control. It will be upon the quality, of course, of the team to review the quality of this model. However, this can be audited, and every query coming from Looker, again, are audited and traced for the analyst to make sure the data is as expected with the standard of your organization.
Can you talk a little bit about the API? Is it REST? Is it SSO?
Yeah, it's a REST API. Actually, long story short, on Looker, Looker historically has started as being fully API based, and then we layered a user interface. But really, there's not a functionality of Looker which is not covered by the API. So it's not just about, the dashboard and the charts, which are obviously covered with the API, but those are all the functionalities, Eric, you discussed about, for example, adding users, the security, making sure, one user belongs to the right group. But really, in one word, we are 100% API-based.
Great. Can you talk about some of the resources for the API and any videos or tutorials that might be available?
Yeah, on our website, really if you Google Looker and API, you should find a lot of resources. But what I love about Looker is that in our API section within our product, we have a live environment where you can basically test out every single functionalities on your live data. So let's say you have something called run query or run look, which is our visualization. You can pass parameters and test out the different parameters of those methods, and you'll have the rendered data or the rendered functionalities straight out of the tool.
Great. Can you talk about some of the integrations? Salesforce. Can you start with some of the actions, Skander?
So on the Looker, because Looker is fully web-based, we can talk to any web services. And the beauty is that we can parameterize any data points with any web services. Speaking of Salesforce, let's say you have a column called Opportunity ID. I can create a field for example, the company name, which is going to be linked to a URL with the variable Opportunity ID. That way, every time I'll see a company name in my dashboard, I'll be able to click and go directly to Salesforce. So not only I'll be able to analyze the data, doing my business intelligence 101, and I'll be able to streamline Looker with other web services, and for example, Salesforce, but it could be Zendesk, your actual application that I would say homemade.
Great. Can you talk a little bit about, at a high level, some of the differences between Looker and other offerings like Power BI or Tableau, Click? Yeah.
Absolutely. And all those tools, ClickView, Tableau, Spotfire, I tend to call them the Photoshop of data. They are outstanding products to create, data visualization story, great dashboard. The main difference with Looker is we basically separated the view and the controller, basically what you see and how the data is managed. To give you an example, the calculation, let's say you calculate the revenue into those products, you're going to calculate it per dashboard versus Looker, where the calculation, all the definition of the data is stored in a semantic layer, meaning that if you have 100,000 of dashboards and different applications hosted that are consuming the revenue, let's say you change how you calculate the revenue or the profit or any calculation. In Looker, you'll have to modify only once, and it will cascade down to those 100,000 dashboards. Versus those other tools, they have a way of working with worksheets or dashboard where you're going to have the calculation stored in those dashboards. This is one of the example, but there are also a lot of other considerations from an architecture standpoint where we are lucky enough to be built in the web, and we are 100% web-based, so we don't have to carry the servers and the different, I would say, second wave architecture. So we are definitely on a little bit fast forward from an architecture standpoint.
Great. So we have some experienced BI developers on the call. Can you talk about the learning curve for different types of things that you need to be able to do to build with Looker?
Absolutely. I'm myself coming from I used to be a data warehouse engineer and moved toward the business intelligence, and I'm lucky enough now to be part of the Looker family. It took me, for someone who knows SQL, I typically say it takes, about a couple of days, also a couple cups of coffee to learn LookML. LookML is a SQL framework. So it's really the magic of being able to create your definition, turning the data into something that makes sense, and Looker will auto-generate SQL. So again, and it's really not even a real joke. It's really a couple days and a couple cups of coffee for someone who knows SQL. And what I mean by someone who knows SQL is someone who knows, what's a join, what's a type of relationship, and have a little bit of understanding of what's a schema, data warehouse, data mart, but nothing too crazy. Looker will take care of all the complexity around, pivoting and symmetric aggregates and really all the advanced stuff.
Can you talk about the cloud-based or on-prem installation?
Yeah, so the benefit of being cloud-based is really what Eric mentioned around being, we basically going to scale as your business scale. Let's say you have 100,000 users to serve or 1 million users in your product, Looker will scale. As opposed to if you decide to host Looker, you'll have to manage your own infrastructure. So really, this is the main difference. But from a product standpoint, these are perfectly equal. Whether you are hosted or we host you, we deliver the same standard and the same version of the product. We have absolutely no delta.
So for the API flavor of Looker, do you still get the interactivity between dashboard elements, or are they selected individually with no connection between them?
Yeah, so when you decide to move to the API route, it's really upon you. You kind of you stay away from the Looker interactivity. You really decide to create your own workflows, pretty much what I've shown you in the demonstration. You can do really anything you want. People typically using the API, they want to have a very precise user experience, and they don't want their customers necessarily to feel like they're in a BI tool. So yeah, it's different. You can blend those experiences, but just for the sake of this question, it's typically a separate experience.
Does Looker meet GDPR requirements?
Yes.
Great. And how about HIPAA compliance or FDA quality management system requirements, or some of these cyber standards?
Yeah, we have obviously ton of customers in that space. I'm not sure I'm the right person to answer it, but we are going to be HIPAA compliant anytime soon. I'll probably be slapped for saying it, but I think it should be coming this quarter.
Great. And I think we only have about 5 minutes left, so maybe time for 1 or 2 more questions. Let's see.
And maybe, Eric, I'll also be happy to follow up. We'll probably also share, our emails. I'll be happy to answer anyone individually, but please go ahead, Eric.
Okay, cool. So maybe the last question is about the Embed demo for the Southwest Airlines. Will visitors be required to log in, or is that something that they can see in the visualization? So
for the login?
Around, permissions.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, that's what I love about Looker. Is really you come with your own, users, and really a user means nothing today in a sense where it can be a business, it could be any entity, and you really come with those information, and then we have a mechanism of authenticating users on the fly. We have basically our own single sign-on mechanism, so you don't have to create those Looker users or to synchronize them prior to embedding Looker. There is just a technique, obviously, which is proprietary to Looker, where you're going to come in with your own users, and they're going to be able to consume the content upon the security level that you would like to grant them, and upon the content that you allow them to consume.
Okay, I lied. One last question, and then we'll be done. So can you talk about the GitHub integration and what we can do there?
Actually, I'm just talking. I think we have a little bit more time.
Okay. So yeah, we have a ton of questions here. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Can you repeat, Eric? Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah. Could you describe a little bit more about the GitHub integration?
Yeah. So Looker is probably the only BI tool on the market to again separate the model view controller. But the data model, actually I'm lying because Business Object used to do that with the universe. All the universe was not version control. So really what Looker does is all the modeling layers. So the modeling layer is all about saying like, hey, the table 1 is joined to the table 2, and you can create new calculation, new columns, etc. So all this logic, this data dictionary, is going to be version control into GitHub, meaning that all your developers can say, hey, I want to create a new measure, let's say daily active user. Hey, I want to create something called a delayed process. It has a certain logic. And so all those iterations, instead of it being captured in the dashboard, they're going to be centralized and version control with GitHub. So you can roll back, you can create branches. So the analytics become more like modern, pretty much like exactly like any modern software development cycle. You're going to think of your BI as really iteration of your data intelligence without compromising the capability to roll back and collaborate, merge results, or actually not even taking some BI tool is actually not to just add measures. You can have an administrator of the GitHub repo that says, no, we're not going to push this new KPI. It's actually not insightful, so it's going to be rejected. Pretty much like any product where there are some features that we would love, but we're not going to integrate them for different reasons. And really, to make it maybe as a final point, Looker is 100% Git compatible, not just GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, and every other company providing the Git services that we love.
Great. So for a workflow management capability that's built into our platform, is that built by Looker or is that built by the client?
Can you repeat one more time?
Yeah, so I think this question is asking about the integrations into workflows and the abilities there. Is that built by Looker or is that built by the client?
We created dozens of workflows that are out of the box. For example, talking with Slack, talking with Google Drive, talking with Segment, talking with Twilio. All of those are out of the box. We call that data action. So you can look that up if you type in Google Looker data actions. So we created a dozen. So you just have to, for example, for Slack, you're just going to have to copy paste the API of your Slack channel. So then Looker can basically send dashboard to Slack at a regular schedule. We actually love, using Looker with Slack. So those are out of the box. And for those that don't exist, because of the Looker API integration, we're able to enhance, we have clients that have actually created workflows that we had no idea. Let's say you think of manufacturing, like you can trigger an alert and stop a machinery. The machinery has a web services. We were analyzing the temperature of certain machine. If the temperature goes too high, instead of sending a dashboard, it's already too late. You can trigger an alert or just call a web services. They're going to be in charge of stopping the machine. So those are the things that, because the platform is open, those are the type of use case that you can extend Looker on.
Great. So a quick note about documentation. I believe there's a resources tab here that you guys can search. We also have our website, of course. We have our community. It's discourse.looker.com. And we have a wonderful support team, too. So best in class, as a matter of fact. So it's something that is a lot out there, but we don't have it all here. And conscious of the time, I think we're hitting up against the 45-minute mark. And I want to thank everyone here today for their questions, and Skander for all the wonderful answers and for the excellent demo. And we look forward to continuing the conversation. So please feel free to reach out to us anytime. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.